A deadline has passed for Malaysian MPs to submit their pick for Prime Minister to the King. Two names appear to be at the top of that list: former Deputy Prime Minister Ismail Sabri and opposition leader Mr. Anwar Ibrahim. An announcement is expected as early as Friday, but the King has warned that whoever is picked must immediately prove their legitimacy with a confidence vote in Parliament.
A familiar face during the COVID-19 crisis. Former Deputy Prime Minister Ismail Sabri has emerged as the leading candidate for Malaysia's next leader, after securing the support of the country's biggest party, UMNO. On the opposition side, Anwar Ibrahim appears to be the leader of choice. But whoever is chosen after Malay leaders meet on Friday will have to prove their support quickly. The King says a confidence vote must be held as soon as possible. He slammed the recent political turmoil, saying it has disrupted Malaysia's fight against COVID-19. For another day, a record high of more than 22,000 new cases has been confirmed. Prolonged lockdowns have taken a toll on the economy and have done little to curb the spread of the virus.
Tentulah kerajaan ini kerajaan baru. Dulu kita ada PH, baru ni ada PM. Yang ini kita kerajaan Malaysia, kerajaan persekutuan.
I know it's not going to be easy, so that's why the King advised, go beyond that. Not all the winner will win, take all. So there must be some form of how you can ensure that unite for the time being. All the politicians must ensure that the government, the country move forward.
Malaysia plunged into a leadership crisis earlier this week when Muhyiddin Yassin resigned, saying he no longer believed he had majority support in Parliament.
Melissa Go joins us live now for more. Mel, it's down to two men, but there are suggestions that even Mr. Ismail Sabri wasn't UMNO's first choice.
Well, that's true. That 61-year-old Ismail Sabri is not the first choice because, as UMNO Secretary General Ahmad Mazlan pointed out, that it's just that he's the best available guy for the job, given UMNO number one, Ahmad Zahid, has multiple corruption charges and is still facing trial. Well, number two, Muhammad Hassan, is not qualified to be in the race because he's not a member of parliament. Now, under the federal constitution, it says that only an MP can be a prime minister. So the next in line is Ismail Sabri, the vice president. And moreover, as Secretary General says, Ismail Sabri is a former deputy prime minister and was the opposition parliamentary chief when UMNO was in the opposition and has been leading the national security operations against COVID-19 in the past year and a half. Now, although many of the SOPs were said to be flawed and criticised as rather incoherent and confusing at times, but nevertheless, it did manage to convince Muhyiddin-led Bersatu Party to support him by promising them the deputy prime minister position. While the rest of the PN coalition partners weren't really in the mood for change now, given that election may be held early next year, and prefer the status quo. Now, altogether, Ismail is said to have 114 MP support, provided all the East Malaysian MP support is solid, because we are hearing that some might have abstained or have a last-minute change of heart. But if that happens, opposition leader Anwar Ibrahim then may just have enough to cross the finishing line. Now, there are 220 MPs in Malaysia. Anwar is said to have 105 support. This after Shafi Abdal, the other opposition candidate, withdrew an hour before the deadline expired and rallied behind Anwar. So it's still too close to call right now. The King, Sultan Abdullah Ahmad Shah, is likely to announce the name after consulting the rest of the Malay rulers on Friday. I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Mel, we have a very divided parliament in Malaysia. Can either of these men even unite it?
You know, both Anwar and Ismail Sabri are quite polarising figures themselves. That's why earlier there were suggestions of compromise candidates such as Tengku Razali Hamzah, who's an UMNO veteran, a former finance minister, a Kelantanese prince who's likely to appeal to both sides to unite and restore some form of political stability that's sorely needed as the country battles a raging pandemic. Now, Today, it's affected more than 20,000 people. That's the highest record so far. More than 13,000 have died since last year. And that's why the King has time and time again reminded politicians and MPs to stop the bickering and be committed and sincere in helping the people and getting the economy back on track. The frontliners are tired, but it remains to be seen. I mean, if the majority is razor thin again, like former Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin, it will be unstable. There will be leadership challenges. The budget for next year has to be passed by October. Now, the King has insisted that the new Prime Minister must move a confidence motion as soon as possible and test his legitimacy on the floor. So it will be interesting to see how things work out for the 9th Prime Minister. But right now, it's just too early to tell. Don?
Mel, thank you very much for that update. Melissa Go there in Kuala Lumpur.